In some cases, some encounters can get really serious, where kids tell you things they wouldn't tell anybody else.
This is Grounded in Granite, where every person and every place has a story to tell. I'm Jason Schreiber. Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's episode of Grounded in Granite. I'm in Manchester, New Hampshire, and I'm at a Santa supper. So we got a ton of Santas here. This is actually the New England Santa Society is having their monthly supper here at the Common Man Roadside in Manchester. And I have grabbed a couple of Santas who are going to share their story and what the heck the New Hampshire Santa Society, that's a lot of S's, what you guys are all about. And I have to say, so I knew nothing about these Santas until I ran into these two Santas at a Panera Bread in Concord recently, and I saw, was there three of you that came in? Four came in that day, and I'm like, they all look like Santas, and so what is going on? So I thought it'd be fun to get them on the show and talk about what they're all about. So, and anyone looking for a new career, there's an opportunity because Santa Camp is coming up in August, which they can talk about. So I'm excited. So I have Dan Greenleaf, who is the founder of the society, and then Brian Marvel, who is the president of the New England Santa Society. So the two leaders of this group. So Dan, why don't we start with you? Because you created this group. How long ago was that?
There were three of us that got together and kind of created New England Santa Society. It was back in 2012.
Okay.
And it was really a case where I had been a Santa for a number of years and never met another Santa. And so I went to a conference out in California, and the first person I meet coming off an airplane, big white beard, red shirt. And I was trying to bum a ride with him at the conference, and we talked for 10 minutes, and he said, "So where are you from?" And I said, "New Hampshire." Yeah. And I was waiting for the next thing, which is, "Where's that?" And instead he said, "Well, what town?" I said, "Manchester." And he laughed and he said, "I'm from Goffstown." Oh, no, really? So and the second person I met there was from Northampton. Oh, my gosh. So it was like, wow. So it was part of it was this. I mean, in my professions through the years, I've always been involved with the organizations, professional associations. And I got a lot out of it. I ran into a gentleman from Cambridge there who happened to be on the board of the group that was putting on a conference. And we talked and we said, well, let's get together. And so he and I, and there was a gentleman from Connecticut who was already forming a group in Connecticut. So the three of us got together and we did some kind of went to Manchester first and then down in Boston area and then Connecticut with just like anybody we knew or could get a hold of to come and see if you want to get involved. And I think we only had one person who didn't sign up to be members those three meetings. Really? So it was, and basically it's just call it a trade association, but it's an opportunity for us to get together, socialize, but also a big part of what we do is educational. And I mean, we do monthly programs that often are, training kinds of things. But our big training happens at Santa Camp, which is a school. And that's going to be end of August? End of August. It's a weekend long. It goes from Friday noon to Sunday afternoon. And it's the whole weekend is devoted to classes so for new people, we have a class that's specifically kind of an orientation to being Santa and all the things that are involved. Brian actually was a student there 5 years ago now. 5 years. Okay. Yeah. All right. 6 years ago. Yeah. 6 years. And so he might address some of the thing as a new Santa that as coming in, what were the things that, he learned about there. And this is in Greenfield, New Hampshire. Yeah, so Greenfield, anyone interested? And what are the dates? It's 28th, 29th, and 30th. Okay. All right. So it's a weekend. So there's a Labor Day. Good opportunity. If you look like you could play the part, I guess. You do have to be kind of authentic. I mean, you got to kind of look like Santa, right?
Not necessarily, because they have some fantastic artificial beards, that you can apply. They're actually theatrical beards that you can put on, and you will look like this.
So that's allowed? That is allowed?
Oh, yeah, it's allowed.
For in your group, you can,
Oh,
okay.
yeah.
And in most groups too.
Yeah.
They do. Okay. So you don't have to.
Beards. Right.
I see.
So you don't need it,
Okay.
Because like a lot of firefighters, police officers, things like that, where they can't grow a big beard.
Well, yeah, that's
this
true.
Would be their option for it. And it works out beautiful. We have several members that are designer beard Santas.
How many are in the group? How many?
We've got about 250 members of both Santas and Mrs. Clauses and a few elves.
Okay, so there's Mrs. Clauses. So that's cool. Well, I failed to mention at the beginning of this episode that no children should not be watching podcasts anyways, or right? So hopefully that was my wife's concern with doing this episode. She said, "Well, what about the children who might be watching?" No, they shouldn't be watching the podcast. Right. So this Santa supper, so this is just kind of a chance to get together and
so our Santa suppers were developed to be able to bring all of the Santas and Mrs. Clauses together for just some casual conversation, casual learning, because everybody has their own unique tips and tricks that they can share with. And again, we're unlike a lot of organizations where we share all of our information very much openly. So there's no like, oh, that's my trade secret. No, we'll share a lot of that information. So, it just makes everybody better. So the suppers were a way to bring everybody together, plus to continue to offer support throughout the year when it's off season. So we're always involved and engaged to keep everything going. And then also allows us to, as we've evolved, we've now added in, the training and things that we were talking about earlier. Every month we can announce those things that are coming up and everything. So everybody's always aware of what's happening.
And
the other thing that happens with the suppers is it's a great place for somebody who's kind of wondering if they want to get involved. And instead of coming to like a training program or committing to Santa Camp for a weekend, we have a lot of people who come and just want to talk to people and check it out. And so it's a nice opportunity for that to happen. And right now we've got 9 different ones going every month. 9 different
suppers throughout
New England. Okay. Yeah. So you kind of go to whichever one is convenient or
right. And that was the point of as we grew, we added more and more because we want to try and involve as many as we can throughout. And rather than having someone have to drive 3 hours to get to a supper, it'd be like, well, I don't know. But if there's one in their local area, now it's much easier to attend. Okay. And then it also allows more people, like Dan was saying, that if you want to dip your feet in the water easily, this is a way to kind of get a little bit of exposure to it.
So we were kind of talking before we started recording about there is kind of a trend, toward maybe healthier Santas or thinner Santa. Is that?
Yeah. I mean, I'm not as big as some of the Santas are because I'm a little on the smaller side of things. And it's funny because you would hear more of the comments come from the adults saying, "Oh, that's a skinny Santa," but at the same time, the more healthier we are, the longer we can, potentially portray Santa and be healthier. And if you look back over the course of the year, Santa used to have the pipe smoking, so they took the pipe smoking away. Right. So that's a healthier conversion.
Yeah, that's true.
You look at that, that's not a bad thing. Plus, again, now with the GLP-1s helping Santas lose some weight, it's not, a bad thing either.
And it's also younger, too.
Yeah.
I mean, I think Brian's not as young as he looks. Yeah. I always thought he was very young when he first started. But we have a lot of Santas now, and they're, a few in their 20s, but a lot new Santas come in. And
you have some in their 20s?
Yeah.
You do? Okay. Yeah. All right.
Yeah. And so it's anybody can be a Santa, really. And we have women who are actually Santas. This is Claudia.
They're Santa.
They're Santa.
They use the designer beard and everything.
Well, I hope that we're never putting kale chips out instead of cookies, because the day that happens, then I'm out.
I don't know that it goes so far as kale chips.
Because no Santa wants kale chips.
Don't eat all those cookie puns.
Right.
I take them back and we put them in the cookie safe.
You put them in, okay. All right.
Right. Moderation for the millions of cookies.
Right. That's great. Do some people underestimate how much work it is to be a Santa?
Yeah,
I mean,
probably.
It's a lot. It's a lot to it, isn't it?
There's a lot to it as far as everything you can learn about it and do, and in the portrayal of Santa. But It really lends itself to as much as you want to do and what you want to commit to. I mean, some commit to a lot of hours, a lot of events. Others keep it to just weekends because they're still working, or, they like a certain, event they like to do. Maybe they like to do just fundraisers.
Okay.
So, they'll just perform at fundraisers.
And I think the other thing we get a lot is, when people see us at something like this, it's like, what, you have a professional group?
Yeah.
Or
I know.
as individuals, they'll say,
yeah.
you say, well, what do you do for work? I'm a professional Santa. And they go, what? That's a profession? And I think for a lot of people who would get into it, they don't realize kind of what's involved in that. You're not just there like as a character, ho-ho-hoing and, handing out presents. That as people get into this, they realize there's kind of a real obligation you have to represent Santa in the right way. And we talk a lot about, like in the beginning class, one of the things we talk a lot about is, you're not just there personifying Santa. You're not just a character. You're not just playing a character. So we always talk about you personify him. You want to be Santa. And, so I think a lot of times when people get into it, they just think, oh, I'll go out and ho and hand
boho
gifts
and
that kind of thing. And don't think about how important it is, or even how in some cases, some encounters can get really serious where kids tell you things they wouldn't tell anybody else.
It's amazing the truth that comes out from children on things.
That's interesting.
And I mean, I know we have Santa, I think he's going to be here tonight later, who after the first session they had, we were sitting having lunch and he goes, I'm not sure I'm cut out for this. I said, why? Why do you think that? He's very personable, outgoing. And he said, well, I don't know if I could handle some of those questions.
Oh.
And I said, well, first of all, you're not going to get very many. It's very rare that you run into those.
Right.
But that it's that idea of you're not just playing a role. You personify Santa. So, but and then the other thing is, the age, everybody thinks Santa's got to be old and fat, and it really isn't the case. I mean, if you've got the personality and you dress the part and look the part, and if you don't have a great beard, you can do artificial beards. But it's really the learning how to connect with the kids and the adults too.
Right.
I mean, adults, sometimes it's the adults who get more excited seeing Santa.
What are the most important, for anyone who's taking on this role, like what are the most important traits that they have to have, like the top 2 or 3? I don't know if you can,
we also say, in talking about portraying Santa, it really has to come from your heart. So you have to be into it, to really have your personality exude through, as Santa. It goes back to that actor thing where, like, if you're an actor, you can perform it, but it's not really showing it. So some of that comes from where you need it in the heart to start with. From that, you build off of it from there. I mean, you can have someone who's, I want to say very shy at first, but Santa brings them out of their shell because you're now portraying this larger than life character. So I don't know, one of the top
I think
things.
One of the things is you really have to be able to respond or listen and respond, and almost like we do training and improv and stuff only because
that is important.
You've got to be ready for whatever's thrown at
you.
And so
because that's
and
it's a big responsibility, really.
And the kids and kids will the ones who are getting older and they're questioning, start challenging you. Well, you're not the real Santa, or
right.
That's not a real beard, or that kind of stuff. Or how old are you? What's my name? So you that's one of the things is you have to be kind of quick on your feet and creative and not get flustered. If you get a tough question or I mean, sometimes the adults will say stuff that you're just an old guy.
Have you ever had any pulling on the beard? Does that happen
all the time?
And
again, sometimes it's the adult.
The adult,
who aren't convinced you're
it's
real.
Yeah, it is.
Have you ever had to tell a Santa, this isn't going to work for you? You're not cut out to be Santa. Has that ever happened that you can think of? Like,
I did booking of other Santas.
Yeah.
Oh.
And so there are a few cases where, you try to give them work and they didn't do a very good job. And it's more, and I would tell people, look, if you're going to do this, this is what you have to do. If they hire you for an hour, you can't zip through everything in 20 minutes at least, that kind of stuff.
Some of the things that could negate them from being the best Santa they can is rushing through a thing, but it's really also I let new Santas know that you need to build that connection with your client. So calling them ahead of time to establish it, so they kind of know who you are and who we are, and you're all on the same page, so that it eliminates some of that from happening. And it's just like every child identifies with a different Santa. So if there's a whole group of us Santas, the child will find someone and just gravitate to that Santa naturally. Same kind of thing happens, at an event. There's a right Santa for every type of an event, or the right, connection. So yes, this event may not have been best for, me or for someone else, but it could be great for somebody, that would be, liking that type of environment or setup. So some of that are things that we weed through, like, Dan was saying when he was booking them, he kind of knew what Santas would be good for what clients or what events and things like that, and would be able to pair things off a little bit better.
Well, the other big thing about the group is that Brian gets booked up, I get booked up. If you've been doing this anywhere after 5 or 6 years, you've got a clientele that gets you back every year. We have clients who you walk out the door and they go, okay, same time, same place, next year. So, we still get calls for people looking, so we can then pass them off. Or like Brian will actually book them and then give them to them. Same thing I was doing with booking Santas, was just to help people out. So it gives them an opportunity to get a lot of work just because they're part of this group and because we help each other.
And where are they? So they're booked out to what kind of places? Are they like the malls and the mall Santas and stuff?
We do very little on the malls because they're usually handled by larger corporations that book like across the nation. Sometimes we'll do, most of it's like local venues, that are looking for something all the time. We always have photographers that come up that look for Santas, to try and book in that way. Local hospitals come and go as far as, having Santa drop by and arrive. Your daycares, your senior centers, your assisted living, schools.
A lot of restaurants do like breakfast with Santa or lunch with Santa. And they do it here. One of our Santas.
Oh, really? Here at the Common Man?
So it's all kinds of things. And it's even like in the off season, you get birthday parties,
pool parties.
Christmas in July. Pool parties. Christmas in July or halfway to Christmas. And
so is it, so it's not year round, but it sort of, you do some stuff in the summer as far as the portraying Santa.
Right.
And then obviously your busy season is November, December.
Yeah.
What do you enjoy most about it? What, it's a big job. Not everyone can do it.
It is a big job. My greatest part is making the connection to the children. The more I can connect with the children, the more I interact with the children, that's better for me. And that's what I enjoy the most, because it's just amazing to see their reactions, their glow, their excitement, or if they're, having a downtime, they suddenly get joyful, or if they're, shy about things, it brings out that shyness. And now suddenly they're, talking. So they'll be like, well, they, haven't talked in a couple of days. And now suddenly they're chatting away.
And I think for me, it's the same. And I like working with the adults too. I did a Christmas Day brunch and there were only maybe a dozen kids who were there all day. I made a point of like going around and talking to adults, and I would kind of tell them the same stories I would tell the kids and stuff. And they really enjoy it. And then I have the privilege of doing Boston Children's Hospital. And I spend like 5 full days doing that.
So that's, wow.
For me, the pleasure is giving them an escape from what they're going through, but, just have a good time with them and I also do the Jimmy Fund Clinic on the outpatient part of it. And I've been doing that for 15 years, I think.
Wow.
But it energizes me, and it really is rewarding, certainly. But I have a great time doing it too. And I think that's one of the things for some people, it would be tough. I mean, I get people all the time, how can you do that? How can I mean, when you have cases where kids are not going to be there for another, 2 days.
That's tough.
I mean, I did 3 end of life visits with older, a couple of like 20-year-olds and a 15-year-old. And
oh my gosh, what was that? What was that like? Did you keep it together? You held things together and did your job.
Again, I kind of always sort of have the idea that this is just another child. This is just another person, and not focus on their condition. I mean, one of the women who had cancer and was on hospice at that point, I went in and she was working on a craft project. And I said, so what did, and I said, tell me how you do that. And we would just talk, and she talked about her, she did a lot of singing and also was a real advocate for funding for teen and young adult cancer research, because they were it all goes into kids cancer. But so we just sat and chatted, and the same thing with others. We just find something. I mean, one I went to and they said, oh yeah, we just finished watching some movies. So we started talking about Christmas movies, and I kind of put them on because they liked horror movies. So I told them about some horror movies. That are Christmas movies.
It's quite a discussion to have with Santa.
But, and again, I just kind of, I kind of block out the fact that they're as sick as they are, and give them that, just that escape from things at that point. So that's certainly the most rewarding. And the other thing is, I make some good money doing it. And for me, that's important because it's really my only big revenue source.
Really? Yeah. Have you ever had, like, can you think of like the toughest, maybe the most difficult moment you ever had with a kid, maybe a question a child asked, or maybe you could tell this child was a troubled situation? I don't know. I'm just trying to think.
Well, I can speak to it from the standpoint. So when I'm at Santa Camp and we were talking about preparing for the sleigh, which is the first year class to give new Santas a wide spectrum of knowledge. So we talked about the tough questions, like, where's my mommy? Where's my daddy? I want my mommy or my daddy to come home. And they trained us in class on, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when you'll get these questions, but they don't happen all the time, but it's being prepared for it. So, through the class discussion, I, learned to be able to be ready for that response. And first year, first gig, first night, I get a child that comes up and says, I want my mommy for Christmas. And it's like, already. But so that was the tough one to overcome, but I mean, if I hadn't gone to camp and learned what to say and learned responses or, to it, I would have been really struggling with it. And, but that was like right out of the gate, the first one. That was and for me, that was the toughest one because it was the first one.
Do you know what this was? Do you know what the situation was? With
she actually had passed.
She had passed. Okay. Yeah.
3 months before the end of summer. So just before she started school.
So that's, wow.
I had one and it was a lesson for me. It was my first year, and it was Christmas Eve, and I had a family party that had a bunch of kids. And I asked them to give me the list of kids and their number, or their ages and stuff. And I'd say, if there's anything you want me to mention to them, or, so there was one girl, and she was probably 7 or 8 at that time. And she came over, and this was not in front of everybody, but it was kind of afterwards. And I said for her, it'd be really nice if you could stop fighting with your brother. And the look on her face was just, it was like, oh my God.
Yeah. Wow.
Because she was so hurt. that I would talk to her about.
Yeah.
And she was kind of mad too. And I thought from now on, I'm never
Yeah.
bringing up anything that's related to, you're a naughty kid.
Yeah. Yeah.
Kind of thing, because that's, you talk about the naughty nice list all the time, but I had another client who used to leave notes on the packages that would tell me what the kid had done. And sometimes it was just like, he dropped eggs on the floor or something. It was like, and I just stopped. I wouldn't even say him. So but it was like, that one, it was like, I don't, I really avoid trying to call a kid out on something or, that kind of thing.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, you get the wise guys, you'll give it back to them and things like that. But
so you kind of have to know when it's appropriate.
Right. And that was one of those places where you realize the role Santa played and how important it was, how hurt she was that I was calling her out.
Well, I can't remember when I first met you guys, if I told you my Santa story when I was a kid and with red hair. My hair was very red when I was little.
Okay.
And I was in line to see Santa. And when I got up to Santa's lap, he announced, "Oh, we have a Carrot Top with us today," and I just hated that being called a Carrot Top. I was like, I went along, it was fine, but I haven't forgotten that. I was just a little kid.
See,
so don't
telling people.
Right now, I don't care.
Say right.
That's where Santa Camp becomes so important, because for somebody brand new, and we've got a bunch of people here that their first lessons were there. That it's the Preparing for the Sleigh, which is our comprehensive course. It's both for Santas and Mrs. Clauses, and it covers everything from how to deal with those tough questions, but it's also costuming, it's how to find work, it's marketing, it's, we do a real overview. And it's one of the things that makes us a little different than other conferences and programs, is that we teach a comprehensive course for the whole weekend. So you take one of 4 choices. And so we have the beginner, and then we do a Mrs. Claus program, Mrs. Claus and Helpers program.
Yeah.
And then we do a performance for the Clauses, which is really intended for advanced folks or people who have experience, because they're going to teach what they do so other people can get ideas. And the 4th one is a rotating one. This year it happens to be on marketing, and it'll be creating a marketing plan for your endeavor, and then, developing promotional materials and learning how to use video and film and all those kinds of things. And we rotate that. One year it's knowing your audience, which talks about special needs and gender issues and other types. Another one is on storytelling. And the 4th one is on just technology, learning to use the technology that's out there to help you with your activities and stuff. And the other thing that sets us apart is that we're all inclusive. So when you register, everything is covered. Like most conferences, you go to a hotel and you register for the conference, and you have to get your hotel space, and you have to buy your own meals and everything. And with Santa Camp, the price covers all the meals, your lodging, and all the materials and everything for school. So it does make a difference when you start figuring it out that way. I think the other big thing that is different with us is that most schools, it's 1 or 2 people who teach it. They're doing it to make money. Or the conferences, a lot of them, it's, a group or an organization get together. But with our school, it's our group that sponsors it. We're nonprofit. All of none of the instructors get paid. They're all volunteering their time and expertise. And the other part of it is that every year, when we started this, there were 8 of us who got together and developed the program. So you're getting lots of voices, where some of these others, it's one person telling you what they think. And every year we go through the courses, and we look at them again, and we make changes, and we change emphasis, and we're spending too much time on this, that kind of thing. So it's a real group effort.
This is serious business. I mean, you guys are, I mean, because when I ran into you at Panera Bread, you guys were working on your curriculum. I think you were making some changes. So,
exactly what we were doing. Yeah.
And then I just have to say, so the looks that you get when there's a group of you out in public, not in your Santa outfits, but looking like Santa, you get a lot of stares.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And people chuckle and ask, are you?
And usually it's people like just like you said, are you?
And then you guys start smirking.
Yes, we're Santas.
Or like our Santa suppers, if it's out in a public restaurant, we have a kind of a private room. But if we're in a public area, we'll get people to come and be like, do you mind if we take your picture?
Yeah.
It's like, of course.
So you get that all the time, and that's fun.
It is.
You enjoy it.
Because then we know that it's bringing joy to them. So
I didn't really ask, at what point did you realize you should be Santa? Like, when did someone say, you ought to play Santa? Like, how?
I mean, for me, I was kind of between work. I mean, I've sort of been an entrepreneur for a long time.
Oh, yeah.
A friend of mine, and this is what you hear probably from 80% of the people you ask, how did you become Santa? A friend asked me to do it.
Right.
You know, you kind of look the part.
Just do a favor. Can you be Santa for whatever?
And so I did it and started looking into it. And I realized, wait a minute, you can make money doing this.
A fun thing.
In the off season. So
and was that similar with you, Brian?
No, mine was a little different. I actually was at lunch break from the job that I was doing at the time. And I was scrolling through the phone and caught a podcast on real bearded Santas. And at the time, I had a small beard, wasn't white. And I was like, oh, well, let me listen to this and see what's going on, you know? And they were saying that, it's a demand is there because, they age out, death is a natural part of the process of things, unfortunately, but,
Santa dying? Oh, boy.
Right. And, they're always looking for, more Santas and more Santas, and there's never enough Santas to take, the place of everything. So I thought, oh, well, that's kind of interesting. And they went on to say that, you can make, again, decent money in the course of 7 to 10 weeks, depending on, when you start. And I thought, well, listen to their calculation of money. I was like, well, I could make more doing that than I could doing what I'm doing. So maybe, I would switch over. So I went home and I showed it to my wife, and she was like, hands down, that's it. She said, you're growing your beard out and you're going to do this. She goes, because you love kids and you love Christmas. I should actually rephrase that. I love Christmas and kids love you. She said, so it's going to be a great thing. And it absolutely has.
Oh, that's
so
cool.
It was kind of money driven in the sense of replacing what I was going to do as my work, which was great because it is so much more enjoyable.
I'd say my first appearance as Santa was on skis at Gunstock.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I was a ski instructor there.
And a skiing Santa. All right.
My boss came out and he goes, they're looking for somebody to ski around on Christmas Day. And he said,
wow, so you were brave.
Do it? They'll pay you for the day. And of course, as a ski instructor, you only got paid when you were actually working. Yeah. So I'm like, sure, I'll do it. But it was a blast. I did that for a couple of years that I was there and did the employee part. So, but it was still a long time before I really got into it on a regular basis.
Is there anything else, Brian, Dan, that you feel is important to mention before we wrap up? Because I know all the Santas are going to be gathering, and it's going to get probably...
if you have,
loud and jolly in here.
Right. If anybody has that interest, look us up at newenglandsantasociety.org.
Okay. There you go.
Definitely jump in on a supper is the best way to, get the exposure.
So they can find the suppers listed on there, check it out, and then come and meet you guys and figure out if it's something that they might want to do. And
I'll just put in a word for the Mrs. Clauses. I mean, the demand for Mrs. Clauses has really increased. Part of the problem is that Santas get booked up. And if you get into November and you're looking for Santa, you're going to have a hard time finding somebody. But certainly Mrs. Claus can do the same thing Santa does and even more. Because, I mean, it's not uncommon for Mrs. Claus to do cookie decorating or craft projects. Yeah, that's true. Where Santa, some do, but that's not really a thing that's very common. We've recommended that people end up going through
Santas are arriving.
Yes.
No, that's good.
That if you're looking for somebody, Mrs. Claus can still fill the role. And as
that's something I wouldn't have thought, but that makes sense.
Yeah, I've booked Mrs. Clauses in for Santas when we couldn't have a Santa fulfill it, because I tell them Mrs. Claus can do everything Santa can do, you know, and even potentially more. So
yeah.
Backwards and in heels.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, awesome. Well, I appreciate you guys sitting down and sharing what it's like to please Santa at your Santa supper.
Yes.
Hosted by the New England Santa Society, which is really, I just think, a fantastic group. And like, I'm so glad I ran into you guys recently. It was a lot of fun. And yeah, so hopefully
taking a few minutes to get to know us a little bit more.
Hopefully you recruit some new Santas, because it sounds like they're needed. And
are.
Well, thanks again. And until next time, remember, every person in every place has a story to tell. We'll see you soon. Oh, there we go. Thanks for tuning in to Grounded in Granite, where we celebrate the people, places, and stories that make New Hampshire home. If you've enjoyed today's episode, make sure to follow Grounded in Granite on Facebook, X, TikTok, and Instagram for behind-the-scenes clips, photos, and more. Subscribe to the Grounded in Granite YouTube channel to catch full video episodes. You can also find Grounded in Granite on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, and iHeart. Until next time, stay curious, stay connected, and stay grounded in granite.